Welcome back to the channel. This video is going to be very niche. I'm just going to let you know that from the jump. I'm going to be reviewing this book. It's called Della Collina. It's a book I brought from Italy about 12 years ago. Because at work I speak a lot of Italian, and it's been so long since I've spoken Italian to like on a daily basis. So I thought to myself, I should just read this book. It's quite short. I'll show you. It is, you can easily read this in like a day, but I read in 6 days, and yeah, it's quite a nice book, to be fair. It's called Della Collina. It starts with this main character. He's 15 years old, called Gianni, I believe, and he's the youngest of 4 siblings. He's got 3 older sisters, and he lives with his 3 older sisters and 2 parents, and they're like a very traditional philosophy, like go to work, go to school, go to work, get like that kind of stuff, get a good job, and yeah, live your life like that. And that's how the 3 older sisters have lived as well. But Jimmy's a bit different. He strays into the path of crime. He with his, along his 2 best friends, have been doing some criminal activity like robbing and stuff, and they've now decided to go into their big first like criminal activity, which is to rob a bank. And they are amateurs, and they get nicked straight up. His 2 best friends snitch on him straight away, and he goes to prison for about 3 years. And then he discusses the drawbacks of doing stuff with people you have a relationship with, doing criminal activity with people you have a relationship with, and not being able to trust them and that kind of stuff. That next time when he comes out of prison, he will find a proper gang. He will find professional criminals to do stuff, because yeah, they know how it goes, and there's no emotion involved in that. So yeah, he goes to prison, I think in Treviso, yeah, and yeah, that prison is very segregated, let's say. There's the Italians, and they're like a gang. There's the Romanians, and there's also the Moroccans, who are all like different gangs that like they've been beefing each other, they've been fighting each other, and each time that someone does something, they have to retaliate and that kind of stuff. And Jimmy comes into his new cell along with other Italians, and they're in the middle of a war, like pretty much. I believe an Albanian, bro, what's my name? An Albanian hit an Italian just before Jimmy joined the prison, and now the Italians are looking to vindicate the fallen soldier somewhat. But yeah, so he's in the middle of that, and at the same time, the Italians still don't trust Jimmy because he's new, and like they don't know what he's on and that kind of stuff. And Jimmy, because he wants the validation from his cellmates, and yeah, so he decides to go to the biggest, like to the leader of the Albanians, and just starts punching, and like he gets beat up quite badly. Yeah, he gets beat up quite badly, and yeah, Jimmy goes in solitary confinement for a few days, and then that's when he's actually got time to think about his action, and time to think about like how he's lost connections with his family, how he's lost his freedom, how he's lost his best friend, how he's lost his girlfriend, and that kind of stuff. And there's 2 ways that he could have gone. He could have made him want to go back on the straight path and like leave the criminal side of life, and he's still 15, so he could have done that, but he decides to go even deeper and like almost forget everything that was before, and then just concentrate on being a criminal and his time in prison. So he does that, and yeah, after he comes back, he now needs to watch his shoulders because now the Albanians are like gonna be onto him, that kind of stuff. And yeah, like few weeks happen, that go by and nothing happens, and all of a sudden he's in the outside, like all the inmates are outside playing football, chatting, eating, whatever, and an Albanian sneaks up to him and uses a piece of glass and he slashes his face, and that is quite a serious that is quite a serious injury to him, and yeah, so he sustains that, and when that happens, he swears like he will vindicate himself and that kind of stuff, and he's now cellmates who now believe in him since he hit the Albanians, and like, oh, they're gonna vindicate him, but they can't do it yet because the guards are gonna be onto them and that kind of stuff, and yeah, so but Jimmy's like, no, I'm gonna do it myself. It's my face, and like the scar that he has is there for life. So he's like, okay, he knows what's gonna happen because he's about to be processed for the first brawl that he had with the leader of the Albanians. So when he's about, just after he gets processed, he's already planned it all. He's gonna like beat up the person that slashed his face nearly to death, and he goes ahead and does that. He doesn't tell any of the Italians because he feels like they will let him down, because like people will start telling people all of a sudden the guards will know as well. So he does it on his once, and he almost beats him to death, and because of that he gets moved to a different prison. He goes to a prison in Sardinia, and this prison is completely different. It's like everyone gets along, there's no gangs, there's no segregation, like there's no racism involved, and everyone like enjoy their time and they try their best to leave as soon as possible. But Jimmy is still in the old prison mentality where it's like he needs to be the leader, he needs to run the territory and that kind of stuff. So yeah, there's a conflict there, and at first Jimmy's like, oh, I need to leave, but then he realizes the freedom that people have here, and there's this program that volunteers run, and it's pretty much wow, it's pretty much the wow, it's cold, and it's pretty much to help inmates re-educate themselves or re-establish themselves into out the free world. And so yeah, like if you've got good behavior for a few months, like a year or so, you can go in this place called the Collina, which the translation is probably the hill. It's a place run by like a Christian pastor type beat kind of thing, and yeah, so like it's not prison. It's like you're in a place, you're like in a camp, yeah, in a camp there, and you get to live there. There's no barriers, there's no guards, there's no nothing, but you just live there, and it just based on trust really. Like they pick inmates who are trustworthy, and yeah, so that's the plan. And Jimmy's already decided, okay, that's gonna be the plan. He's gonna go to that the hill, and he's gonna betray everyone's trust, and he decided to find a way to Corsica, which is France, and he thought to himself, since I'm still a juvenile, they're not gonna bother trying to spend resources and money and policemen trying to catch him in France. So yeah, that's his plan, and he's been working on it. He's completely changed his attitude. Like now he's the nicest guy, and even whilst changing his personality, he's now started writing to a volunteer, and this volunteer, she's really nice, and They talk, and each time he talks to her, it feels like he's experiencing the free world, and like he's not falling in love with her, but he's liking the interaction, and it's making him pass his time as a inmate easier. And he can forget being an inmate for the like whenever he's writing or receiving letters from her. And yeah, times goes by, he gets the good behavior points or whatever to get into that institution at the Hill. And yeah, now it's go time for him. And to cut the long short story short, even though it's already 10 minutes I've been recording. He now is going to the cinema with the volunteers, and he decides to make a run for it. But he gets at the end of the cinema and he realizes, oh, like, I can't betray the trust that the volunteers are putting into me and that kind of stuff. And then he turns his life around. He faces consequences for running, but they're still kind enough not to send him back to jail. But he changed his life from there. And yeah, that was the story. I realized that this is so niche. I'm talking about an Italian book, like for teenagers that happened that I bought 12 years ago. I don't even know when it came out. The author, Massimo Carlotto, was born in 1956. So in Cagliari. And yeah, I'm doing this review in English to an audience of, well, like 5 people, but probably, yeah. Anyway, thanks for watching. Have a good day.